Guys, I can't believe it's actually happened. It's been talked about for some time now, and I didn't want to believe that it was a possibility, but I knew with the way that modern football was, and I knew with the way that Tottenham Hotspur are, that it was a definite possibility that Ange Postecoglou, despite being the manager to get them their first trophy in 17 years, their first European silverware in 40 years, has been sacked after this season. Absolute joke of a decision. Now, I know that there's some Spurs fans, there weren't many, admittedly, but there were some Spurs fans that were calling and advocating for, Ange to get sacked because, at the end of the day, it has been their worst season domestically in the Premier League era. They finished in 17th. They were the fourth bottom team. In the league, they were terrible. There's no getting away from that. They were ravaged by injuries, absolutely. No doubt that played its part, but Ange has to take at least some of the responsibility for that. Domestically, it's been a really, really shocking season, to be honest. But in Europe, they won a trophy. And he's the first man to win a trophy for Spurs in a long time, Like I said at the time, when the rumours of this first started to happen, just literally straight after the Europa League final, it was very much billed as whoever loses that final could well get sacked out of Ruben Amorim at Manchester United and Ange Postecoglou from Spurs. And now it looks like even though Ange won and Ruben Amorim lost, Amorim's going to keep his job, which I think is the right decision, by the way. That's a separate discussion, but he's going to keep his job, and Postecoglou, evidently, has not. So it's an absolutely wacky place that we kind of find ourselves in with this one. Like I said, it's been rumored for some time. This has not just come out of nowhere, But I just did not expect to see this today, I did all my videos, did all my work, got my son from school, I've been chilling out this evening, we were sat on the sofa, playing dominoes, having a good time. It was a nice chilled out Friday evening, and I just see my phone blow up. Not literally, obviously, but figuratively, not literally. That would be even more eventful, even if that happened, obviously. But it just so happened that all these notifications come through: BBC Sport, Premier League, Tottenham Hotspur. I'm getting the lot right. They're all coming through. People are messaging me like, "What the hell's going on?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's happened, hasn't it? He's actually done it." He's actually gone and done it, Levy. He's actually sacked him. I mean, for me, this just epitomises that Tottenham are a joke of a club. They really, really are. I get it, right? Business is important. Finances are important. Tottenham Hotspur are doing absolutely fine, finances-wise. And the fact they've actually won something now, for the first time since they've moved into their new stadium, that means that there is a bit more clout around them. That they're back in the Champions League. It's not just winning the Europa League. They are back in the Champions League. They've not been in the Champions League for years. And yeah, Ange is not the most consistent manager for them, obviously. Their results, even in his first season, were very sporadic, very hit and miss. Even more so this campaign, obviously. Again, injuries playing the part, of course. There's no getting away from that. But for me, it's an absolute joke of a decision. And it shows that Tottenham very much value boring consistency than actually winning things, than actually winning trophies. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Levy might well have called Ange in for his performance review and been like, "We're not going to back you as much as you want this summer. You've managed to get a trophy on, not spending crazy money here. So we don't need to invest too much in the squad." And Ange might not have accepted that and decided to walk. We don't know. We don't know the ins and outs of what's been discussed behind closed doors. But the fact is that he's been sacked. He's gone. And it's a joke of a decision, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion. I made that clear when the rumours first started to come, and my opinion has not changed since. So the question now is, where do they go from here? Who are they going to get? Well, the bookies' favourite at the moment is Thomas Frank, the manager of Brentford. He's done a fantastic job. He has done an incredible job with Brentford to get them into the Premier League and stabilise them and get them onto the verge of Europe. I think he'd be a standout candidate. But like I said at the time, and that's going to go for all of these managers who are favourites. They haven't managed a super club before. They have never managed a super club before in the form of Spurs. And I know, again, people say in the comments, "Oh, that's a joke, isn't it? Tottenham a super club." They are a super club. Financially, they are a super club. In terms of success, no. They've not, they've won less trophies than the likes of Leicester City over 10 years. They are not a super club in terms of their success. But in terms of their finances, they are in the top 10 richest clubs in the world. That is a fact. So therefore, their aims have to be where a super club is. Simple as that. They have to be winning trophies and they've got to be up there near the top of the league. So Frank, I think, would be a good appointment in terms of him being a good manager so far for Brentford, but he hasn't really done much else, to my knowledge, in terms of management, and he's never managed a club the magnitude of Spurs. Marco Silva is the second favourite, the manager of Fulham. A bit similar to Frank, he's done a fantastic job with Fulham, gotten to the verge of Europe. He's been a bit hit and miss in terms of some of the appointments he's had. He didn't do that well at Everton, but then again, it's Everton. Like, the only manager to do well there over the last 10 years or so has been Moyes and Ancelotti. Not many people have managed to do well at Everton, so I won't really count that too much against his name. He's done a fantastic job at Fulham. Iraola, now he's a bit more of an outside shot. Silva and Frank are the heavy favourites, but Iraola, who's managing Bournemouth at the moment, again, done an amazing job with them, got them to the verge of Europe. So I really do think he'd be a standout candidate as well. But again, same criticism really in terms of Spurs. He's never managed a club of that kind of size. And the next guy after that is Xavi Hernandez, of course, the Barcelona legend. Now, he has managed a super club, Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world. So that is a plus point against him. But he's never played or managed before in England. He's only ever played or managed before in Spain and Qatar. That's it. So, and then the next one after that is Oliver Glasner. And at that point, I think you're getting into the realms of being silly, because why would he leave? He just won't leave Crystal Palace now. I don't see why he would. Yeah, Tottenham are a bigger club than Palace, of course, but I don't see him leaving. Bayern Munich wants to get him as well, like a year ago when they were looking for a new manager before Vincent Kompany took the job eventually. I don't really see Glasner leaving. I think he'd stick around. So for me, Frank, Silva, Iraola, they're the only realistic options here. Then you're getting into like Carlos Corberán, Maurizio Pochettino coming back. It's not going to happen, is it? Poch had never come back. He was never back properly by Levy. They could have genuinely kicked on and become a proper super club in terms of success, Tottenham, had they backed Pochettino, but they didn't. So yeah, I think for me, if I had to choose one of those guys, I'd be really stuck between Frank and Iraola. I'd probably, to be honest, just because of how great his football. I mean, I'm not saying that Frank plays bad football by any means. I'm not. But just because of how Iraola's system works, I'd go for him personally. I think he's, out of those, I think he's the most similar manager tactically to Ange. He's different, obviously. There are marked differences there, but I would say Bournemouth really, they play some really good stuff under him. So personally, if gun to my head I have to choose, I'd go with Iraola personally for me. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I would have 100% kept Ange. That would have been my first decision, as I made that clear. If you're a Spurs fan, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this the correct move by Levy? Is it not? For me, absolutely not. Totally the wrong move. They may well get a great manager and they may well have success after, but I think Ange should have been allowed to test himself in the Champions League with Spurs. I think his only experience of the European Champions League before that has been with Celtic, and yeah, I mean, Celtic were there, they were competing, but they don't. Them getting out of the group stage is a miracle. They did a fantastic job this campaign to do that under Brendan Rodgers. So yeah, your thoughts in the comments below as always, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more like this, and yeah, let us know your thoughts about whether Ange was right to be sacked or not in the comments below.